Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Damon Campbell here at the Crofoot in Pontiac, Michigan with a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, guys. I'm Liza Anne.
Great to meet you, Liza.
Yeah, nice
Definitely
to meet
appreciate
you
your time.
too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, as a touring musician, you really seem to have landed on your feet, considering there was a time when you would pounce at the opportunity to perform Kesha covers at your local coffee shop.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would. Yeah, when I was a baby. I was like 15, and I was obsessed with turning like Kesha songs or even like Skrillex songs, like the hooks
really?
from dubstep songs, like the melodies, I would like turn them into acoustic.
That's crazy.
Like emo girl music.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
They do say time is money, though, so with all the success brewing, I was curious if you've been able to visit any cat cafes lately?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, I love cat cafes. How do you know?
This
is crazy. Okay, this is the funnest thing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, cat cafes are like, I want a cat of my own. I actually think I was looking today at Nashville Cat Rescue, and I think when I get home from this tour, I'm gonna finally get a cat. But because I don't have one, I just go to cat cafes all the time.
How do those work exactly?
You just go and you pay it depends on the city. Some cities are more expensive, but you just pay a small fee and you get a little tea and you just get to sit and hang out with cats for an hour at a time. And I normally buy 2 hours.
Sure.
And I just it's so nice because cats are so autonomous, so you don't necessarily always get to hold them, but you just get to exist in their energy, which is, I don't know.
That's
I just
awesome.
love it. I
Totally.
love cats.
And I understand a pet peeve of yours is when people don't allow room for duality. Like, for example, growing up, people would always say that you were too happy to be depressed or too social to have anxiety.
Yeah, I think that's so much of what I talked about in this album. But yeah, it really frustrates me when people are so, I guess, when people are against duality, but what's the word for it when people just don't believe in two things being able to coexist at once? I don't know the exact word.
Say, you might have me stumped.
There is a word for it, and my mind is just in tour mode. It's not working fully, but I just think, it's wild. People think that you can only be one thing, but I think we're all existing in almost every emotion all at once, all the time, which is, the thing about it is, it's there's so much ambiguity to that. You can't immediately explain someone, and I think as human beings we want to be able to explain and get to the bottom of things and have all these answers, but really it's we just should be open to the fact that we're all things and nothing all at the same time.
Of course.
Yeah.
And at times people have pressured you to be softer and easier to digest.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that just happened when I started making music. I was I was in high school, but when I started kind of releasing stuff, I was still just 19, and I think people just assumed that because I was so young and maybe because I was a woman that I would listen to the advice of old white men on what I should do next. And I just kind of, I don't know, I want to only make the art for myself.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to be softer if I don't feel soft.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But if I feel soft, I'll make a soft record.
Sure.
But I just haven't felt that lately.
Yeah. What's it like to live with celiac disease?
Yeah, it's actually, it's almost celiac, not fully celiac, but it is, I'm allergic to all the same things that celiac is, but I have an autoimmune condition called SIBO, which is basically small intestine crazy stuff, but it's really weird. It's kind of been this lesson of inhabiting my body. At first I was so angry when I was diagnosed that I was really mad because, all of a sudden I can't eat any of the food that everyone else can eat, and I have to at the time I was I have to do all this yoga stuff, I have to do everything, and now it's just been I get to know what my body needs to exist well. So it's at this point I feel it's this gift in a weird way. But at the beginning I was so mad because I was I can't have beer. What is this? And now I'm I don't want beer.
Sure.
So
perspective changes everything, I suppose.
Truly, and I think just realizing that every person is just a movement. I was so stubborn in my ways, but then when I just opened myself up, I was oh, well, I want to give my body what it actually needs.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult, but it's not the end of the world anymore.
Totally.
Yeah.
And your taste in music seems to be all over the map, but when you were little, I understand you were encouraged to stay away from the Lil Waynes of the world.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, my aunt and uncle, they just loved, lyrics, and, they were kind of, in a way, my catapult into, femme rock, kind of. kind of Bikini Kill, but more so like the Cranberries, Joni Mitchell, that sort of thing. And my uncle's first little like mixtape he gave me said, "Stay away from the Lil Waynes of the world," which like at the time I was like in high school, Lil Wayne was my shit.
Yeah, no, same.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no way. And then I turned it on and like hear that, you know, all those words that just blew my mind. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I should fill my head with some sort of content that like moves my soul around and doesn't just make me want to like go out and party.
Sure.
Like a 16-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
But eventually you ended up writing and performing a rap song of your own as part of your songwriting major.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like oh my gosh. I like have not thought about that in so long. It was like about a one night stand or something. Like in this songwriting class, we were encouraged to write songs across like every genre.
Okay.
And kind of for one of like that genre specific assignment, you either pulled country, Christian, Christmas, or R&B.
Wow.
And I pulled R&B, and you know, I mean, you know the music I make, it's like not even close to R&B.
Right.
And I like tried so hard, and like it truly still just sounds like sad girl music, but I don't care.
Do you remember how any of it went by chance, or probably not?
It was like, no, I wish I had it with
That's
me.
fair.
I wish I could. No, and I like was really terrible at Logic at the time, so like even making the track, like it was just like, it was a journey. And like I remember presenting it to the class, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. This is not like, I wish it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the melody was cool. If I think of it,
Okay.
I'll sing it.
Sweet.
But I probably won't.
Okay. And I suppose we should give some props to Meg Murray as well.
Yes, Meg Murray. She taught me how to play guitar.
Crazy.
She literally, it was at camp. This is the coolest memory lane thing. But I went to camp every summer for like 5 weeks, and they had a songwriting class one summer, and this woman named Meg. And Meg, like, I brought my guitar with me. I'd never played guitar. I liked writing songs, but I didn't know how to play guitar yet.
Right.
And she just like that. At the end of those 5 weeks, I had written like my first like 7 songs as like a 14-year-old.
Crazy.
And it was just like, what?
Yeah.
This can happen? Yeah, Meg was an angel.
Sounds
I
like
mean,
it.
like truly, it still is. She's amazing. Yeah.
Shout out to Meg.
Yeah, shout out to Meg Murray.
Do you remember the circumstances around you writing Useless?
How do you know about that? Where do you get this?
I just try to come prepared.
Oh my god, that is okay. That's like literally the first song I ever wrote. It was like back, I was really religious at the time, and I was reading through like the book of Ecclesiastes, and it talked about, I mean, just proof of how emo I was from the very beginning. That whole book of the Bible literally talks about how like everything is useless, and like what can you gain from the work on this earth if you're not like, I don't know.
Sure.
It's just all the stuff. So me as like a 12-year-old, I was like, that's how I feel, and like wrote it all down. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I need to know where you find this. You're like truly snooping.
Oh, thanks.
Very fun.
And you've described songwriting as your way of escaping your body and inhabiting it at the same time, which I found to be an interesting analogy, since it's actually a constant struggle for you to feel grounded and at home inside of your own body as a result of your anxiety.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that, it's just weird. I think it, that whole phrase that I use, like escaping and inhabiting at the same time, it just kind of pulls in the duality that I think exists within life. But it's also, panic disorder is weird because it truly just immediately can pull you completely out of a situation, but at the same time make you feel like all too present in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of like, I want to get out of this, but also I feel like I'm out of it, but I'm in it, and it's just really weird. And so I think writing for me has just always been like my space of being kind of like uninterrupted, or like a space for me to just be completely valid in whatever extreme of emotion I'm feeling. And so it's definitely been a life-saving tool for me.
Because I was of the impression that being present has been perhaps the biggest help in dealing with panic attacks, but it sounds like being too present could kind of tip things the other way.
Possibly, yeah. I just think if you're, it's like if you give anything too much thought, it can twist up in your brain, sort of thing. And I think I've been practicing over the last few years, like kind of trying to figure out mindfulness and sort of meditation, like the kind of Buddhist idea of when things come to you, just letting them come and then they leave, sort of thing, rather than like latching onto any sort of crazy idea and like running with it. It's just kind of like letting life just kind of come at you. and then letting it move
Which
on
sounds
at
like
the
it could
same time.
probably be helpful for people even without anxiety.
Yeah.
For that matter.
Truly, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think like it's really helped me, especially with my anxiety, but just in life in general, it would be very helpful. I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
If we can go back to the past, though, for a moment, I understand August 11, 2004 holds a special significance to you.
That's the day I saw Hillary Duff.
Crazy. Was that your
Yeah.
first show?
It's my first show.
Wow.
August 11, 2004. Greatest day of my life. Except for, I look back on it now. Well, I had a really bad stomachache that whole day, which is just funny because now I know that I have this,
Right.
like, I was allergic to everything I was eating as
Yeah.
a kid. But I remember, like, laying down before, like, in my chair before Hillary Duff went on, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel so sick. And she, like, walks on stage, and I'm just like, like,
Yeah.
lose my shit as
That's
an
wild.
11-year-old. It was beautiful.
Crazy.
I loved it. I loved that show.
Did you really make your bedroom identical to hers as well?
Yep. Literally. How on earth do you know that?
How did you pull that off?
Well, there were, in Tiger Beat and all those little, like, magazines, they have pictures of, like, the stars in their bedrooms and stuff, and I just needed to be like Hillary Duff when I was a kid. I still do.
Okay.
Who am I kidding?
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hillary.
Always shout out to Hillary Duff. Every day of my life.
And Come Clean was an important song of hers in particular for you?
Come Clean for sure. It was like she invented rain or something. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just didn't even believe rain existed till I heard Hillary Duff sing about
Yeah.
it. Not really, but it was just
Sure.
like this crazy. I just think she was like just emo enough, but like not too emo that my parents wouldn't let me listen to her,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like my door into sad emotion.
Sure.
All the stuff I was feeling in my head, it was like my first little door into
Totally.
it. So,
That's amazing.
yeah. That's so funny.
And I understand you grew up performing in church where you were a worship leader and your mom taught Bible study?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was a worship leader. It's so funny to think about now. I don't know. It's like, my relationship with religion is just funny because human beings are naturally religious, I think. We want to make order out of our thoughts and out of mystical ideas and everything. But it was a weird time. Like, I was too young to be doing that.
Yeah.
They just, like, handed me a congregation to lead, and I was, like, 14.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't even know if I believe this yet.
Right.
But it's okay. And my mom is so amazing and mystical and incredible. And she's still a Bible study leader.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's doing it.
As you grew older, though, you did find religion to be a bit repressive?
Yes, absolutely. I think that it was just keeping me from a lot. It doesn't do this to everyone, I don't think. Like, I don't want to speak for the entirety of
course,
existence,
no,
but
sure.
in my own life and in the lives of people that I'm close to as well, it just felt like a pretty oppressive and repressive. Like, it just kept you from parts of yourself that were deemed bad or sinful.
Okay.
Or, it just felt like a weird, I don't know. It felt, now that I'm out of it, I'm just like, whoa, I can see clearly in this way that I, like, wish I could have seen when I was a kid.
Right.
But I don't know.
Well, because as an example of just how deep into it you were at the time, was there really a time in the bath when you contemplated whether drowning yourself would help you get to heaven faster?
Yeah, when I was like a baby though. I was like
Wow.
3 or 4, and I just like had this idea of like, you tell kids that when they die they go to heaven.
Right.
Why on earth would
Then
I was like, well, life is hard. Like,
Right.
can I just go now? Like,
Yeah.
I just, if heaven is paradise. So yeah, I said that to my mom a few times. I also had like terrible night terrors as a kid.
Wow.
And so I feel like I was always very close to like whatever spiritually was going on.
Sure.
Like there was like a very thin veil. But
Crazy.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like people to know about Liza Anne?
You truly, like, I didn't even know these things.
Oh, gosh.
Like, these were things that were, like, deep back in the way. No. Thank
Okay.
you for asking these questions.
Oh, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
It was great chatting with you.
Yes, you
Best
too.
best wishes with everything coming your way.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts at all before we say goodbye?
No, this is just the coolest, most
Oh, thank
random,
you.
amazing interview I've ever had. Thanks.
Thank you so
guys are
much.
supporting a good person.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
There you have it. Once again, I'm Damon Campbell, and this is Liza Anne. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.